I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite books. I've talked about it before. It's The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I first read this book when I was 18 years old. I was a sophomore in college, and this book had a tremendous impact on me and my life. And you know, there's a lot of negative connotations that come with this book. A lot of people associate negativity with it. I want you to know that it doesn't have to be negative. It's all about how you use it. The 48 Laws of Power, I want you to think of it like a knife. Like you can use a knife to go on a stabbing spree, or you can use a knife to slice up food carefully that you cook for children at an orphanage, right? It's just a tool. How you use it, the person who's using it, if they're good, it'll be used for good. If they're evil, it'll be used for evil, right? And it's super important that you understand the laws of power, right? For a variety of reasons. One, it's going to give you a strategic advantage in life, right? And you can use them for good. However, some people may have more nefarious intentions, and they may be using these laws for bad, maybe even unconsciously. They may be using these to your detriment. You need to be able to guard yourself from them in those circumstances. But if you don't know the laws, if you don't know what they're doing, then you're more likely to become a victim, right? So it's super important that you understand these laws. Now, I've studied this book back when there was a huge version of it. This is the concise version. That's the link we put in the description. What we're going to get into now is my favorite of the 48 Laws of Power, my favorite laws, and I'm going to show you how I've applied them to my life, how they've helped me, and how you can apply them to yours. My favorite of the 48 Laws of Power, in no particular order. We'll start off with law number 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. You want to associate with positive people or successful individuals and distance yourself from negativity. Whether you want to or not, you're going to become like the people you're around. The reason you talk the way you do, the reason you dress the way you do is directly influenced by the people you grew up around, the people you live around. There's a reason why people from different parts of the country have similar accents. It's not in their DNA, right? They picked up on it involuntarily. And it's not just your dialect and your style of dress and shit, right? It's everything. For example, here's a study that shows that happiness spreads among individuals. This is a scientific peer-reviewed study. All right, so let's move down to the abstract. I'm only gonna read a little bit. If you want to know more about it, you can read this shit on your own time, you fucking nerds. All right, cool. So clusters of happy and unhappy people are visible in the network, and relationships between people's happiness extends up to 3 degrees of separation. For example, to the friends of one's friends, right? This means if Nemo over here has a friend who's unhappy, this study shows that my happiness will be decreased. It's not just people you're around, it's also the people they're around can affect your happiness or unhappiness. This study shows that the people you're around actually affect you on an emotional level. And we've already talked about this before. Remember, we talked about if you want a result, right? You got to take action. But the quality of that action depends on the emotional state you are in when you are taking that action. I give this example all the time, but I'll do it again. I think this example is the best to illustrate this point. Say a girl's giving you a blowjob. Now, let's say this girl, she don't like giving blowjob. She don't like dick in her mouth. She think it's kind of gross. Right, so she's like kind of doing it like, yeah, it's like a pity blowjob. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she don't really want to do it, but she'll do it. Yeah, so she did the action. She performed the action. She performed it in a negative state. What kind of result is that going to be? Yeah, how bad can a blowjob be, right? It's not going to be awful, but you probably had better blowjobs. For example, let's say a girl, her favorite thing in the world to do is give blowjobs, like your mother. And you know, a chick like your mom, as soon as she sees that shit, she dives on it like a fucking loose ball at the Super Bowl. And she starts going to town on that shit. The sloppy shit, man, the string of spit coming from the dick to her mouth, you know what I'm saying? She doing all that fucking nasty shit, you know what I'm saying? She rubbing it on her face, slapping her own face with it. You know, he was laughing. They don't know what I'm talking about. This guy knows what I'm talking about. And, right? It's the same action, but which one is going to get the better results, right? The one that was performed in a more enthusiastic state. I say that to say, if you are unhappy and you're going to work and you're bringing that unhappiness into work, you're still working, but how effective is that work going to be versus the person who goes into work super enthusiastic and upbeat and positive, ready to tackle any challenge, right? Who's going to get laid off first? Who's going to get promoted first, right? That's just an example. But we can go even further than that. Here's an obesity study. And this shit is wild. So basically, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically says if a friend becomes obese, you are 45% more likely to become obese in the next 2 to 4 years. But like what's even crazier than that is the research found that if a friend of your friend, someone you don't even have to fucking know, becomes obese, you have a 20% chance of becoming obese yourself. So it's not even just the people you're around, it's also the people that those people are around that affect you. It's not just happiness, it's obesity. There's another study, I'm not gonna go through it, but there's another study on smoking, right? When people, basically this is like when people around you, when people around smokers quit smoking, smokers are significantly more likely to quit smoking. You're gonna become like the people around. I'm gonna show you how this shit has affected my life in certain degrees. You know, a while ago, long time, I was dating this girl. I mean, a long time. I was dating this girl. She was all fucked up. She was crazy. And she had a lot of problems, a lot of issues. She didn't have her life together. And you know me, I'm out here balling, shot calling, doing my thing. Her life seemed like just a series of tragedies. And after spending time with her, one day, I had a fucking panic attack, like me in the middle of the night. Like I was like, what the fuck, me, the man? I was like, oh, this bitch. And then I dumped her immediately, and yo, my whole quality of life changed. Someone said she must have been Puerto Rican. Close. She was Dominican. You know, mi gente muy peligroso, you know. Muy peligroso. My whole quality of life improved. It was like the clouds parted just from not being around this person. And seeing this research kind of confirms that, you know what I'm saying? And I never forgot that. And I've seen that in different parts of my life, you know. It's also, you know, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. And if you ever wonder why in the hood there's so much crime and violence, because it feels like hopeless. Like it really feels hopeless. Like you can feel it in the air, like it permeates everything. So one of the first things I did was just get out of the south side of Chicago. You know, I went to college and I went to DC. You know, I was around some different people who were like had different aspirations, people whose goal in life wasn't to be in a leadership position of a street gang. You know what I'm saying? People who wanted to actually have careers and shit of that nature. And then from there, I started making more friends in higher places deliberately. And every time I met someone else who was doing better than me and became friends with them, my life improved. So it's not even just staying away from negative people, it's deliberately associating yourself with more positive people will not only, the studies show that it will improve your happiness and your health. The studies show that. However, for me, I noticed it just improved my income. Like I get ideas from my rich friends. They help me with my business problems. I help them with their business problems. I introduce them to people who can help them make money. They introduce me to people who can help me make money. It's a beautiful thing, you know. But if you're just around friends who are struggling, y'all just gonna be struggling together. And what you're gonna be talking about, the struggle, and what do you think you're gonna be attracting in your life if that's what you're focused on, the struggle. So I guess the moral of the story is, don't date Dominican women. I'm joking. I got one in the next room. She's cool. I had to bring her out of that environment though. Put her in my environment. Let's move on. This is a big one. Law 33. Discover each man's thumb screw. Pause. But basically, what old Robbie Greene was talking about was how you got to find out each person's weakness, and you can kind of use that to your advantage. And it doesn't have to be in a negative way, but it could be in a negative way. It depends on how you want to use it. For example, I'm gonna tell you a story. So, you know, I grew up poor on the south side of Chicago. And, you know, I got sent away to military school when I was 14. I got in some trouble, you know what I'm saying? Just simple shit, you know, skipping school, fights, shootouts, normal kid shit. And I got sent away to military school as a result. Now, that kind of goes to the first law I talked about, because I was around some, my environment changed, and that kind of inspired me to want to accomplish more. But my dad was really struggling to make money during that time. Before I went to military school, like we were poor, south side of Chicago. But by the time I went to military school, that's when things started really picking up for him, right? His business started to really work. By the time I graduated from high school, he was making $3 million a year. And in the year 2000, if we adjusted that for inflation, it would have been $8 million in today's money. Again, he lost all the money by the time I graduated from college, so I didn't experience any of the wealth because I was gone the whole time, but I knew it happened. And he would tell me stories. He was telling me stories about some of the stuff he was doing in order to come up. And it was all legal, except for this. Except for this one part. And it may be legal depending on what part of the world you're in. But he wanted to get this deal done. It may sound like I'm snitching, but this guy's dead, so fuck it, right? With the mayor of DC at the time, his name was Marion Barry. And Marion Barry had got caught. This is public knowledge, I'm not snitching. He had got caught in a hotel room with a bunch of prostitutes and cocaine. And it was all over the news. He got reelected after that. That's how crazy DC is. Anyway, he got reelected. They're like, yeah, that's the guy for us. But prior to this, my dad knew, okay, so this guy likes cocaine and hoes, right? And my dad had some bread at this time. And he was bidding on this deal with the city. He had an insurance claims business, right? So he was trying to do the insurance claims for a section of the city of DC. And he was bidding on it. One of the things he did, allegedly, he's dead, Marion Barry's dead. I think I can tell the story. I don't think I'm getting nobody in trouble. But if I am, this is all alleged. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all alleged. He bought the mayor a ticket to like some island or something. I don't remember which one. And when he got there was a bunch of fucking hookers there for him that he spent the week with. He comes back to DC. My dad got the deal, you know what I'm saying? But the key is he knew what Marion liked. It was all over the news. Marion liked hoes and coke. And I don't think it was illegal, depending on, I don't remember what island he sent them to. But some of those islands, that shit is legal, I think. I don't know. But he got the deal and made a bunch of money. You know what I'm saying? Everybody won. There's no victims in that story. The hoes got paid. The mayor got some pussy. My dad got the deal. I got my tuition paid for college. There's no victims. Everybody wins because my dad understood what was going on with him. You know what I'm saying? He understood his weaknesses, right? Now, here's another story, how it was used in a negative way. There's a story I heard. There's this guy. He was from Chicago. He's a crazy man. And he had beef with this other dude. We're going to call this other dude 2, right? So the Chicago dude, he had beef with this other dude. Like, it was like serious beef. It was serious beef. And he had to figure out how to get him, but he knew the other dude's weakness. Chicago dude knew the other dude's weakness. Again, it was women. That's why we're putting, guys, again, it was women, right? Right, that's why so the Chicago dude, this dude is crazy. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's insane. He wears black Air Force Ones and shit. He's crazy. And he had this girl he knew. She was super beautiful model, Spanish chick, right? He had the model chick hit the other dude up on Instagram, right? Just follow him and slide into his DMs. The Chicago dude told her to set up a date with dude. So he sets up a date with the dude, right? They start talking, she sets up and the dude shows up to the meeting space, the rendezvous point, but the girl wasn't there. Listen, I don't know exactly what happened. I have no idea. Legend has it, the other dude ended up in the fucking ICU, right? It's because the Chicago dude knew his weaknesses, right? And he was able to capitalize on it, right? So that's how it can be used in negative, depending on what side of the story you're on, you know what I'm saying? He probably should have been messing with that Chicago dude, man. Those dudes in Chicago are fucking crazy. Anyway, that's law number 33. But that also kind of blends into law number 8, which is make others come to you. Use bait if necessary. So the Chicago dude used the Spanish chick as bait to get the enemy to come to him. Because if he would have ran up on the other dude on his turf, it might have been wrong. But he was able to lure his enemy out of safety into his clutches. And it turned out real bad for him, right? It's law number 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary, right? But how's he used in a positive way? Well, I got a friend. You guys may know. His name is Austin Dunham. I've known Austin for mad long, since he was in college, right? In fact, his very first course he put out, this kid I used to mentor was running the ads, and the kid was all nervous. He didn't know how to do it. So he came to me because I was his mentor, and I was running Austin's ads at first, right? But now the other dude is Miguel. He's super good at it now. He's probably better at running ads than I am now, you know? But anyway, I've known Austin for mad long. And Austin on Instagram, right? I'm on his close friends. Austin, somehow he got wrapped into the whole red pill dating shit. He used to be just a good boy when I knew him. First, man, he was a good boy. He had a girlfriend. He's a one-woman man. Now he's a fucking player, right? And what he does is, if you watch his channel, check his channel out, right? If you're interested in this kind of thing, right? But he's all about, you know, making himself as pretty as possible. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that's what he's about. It's like it's really about men making themselves as pretty as possible. He'll show you how to be the prettiest nigga you can be. You know what I'm saying? Like he got like facial routines and night routines, like videos about nighttime grooming routines, and they be selling fucking soap that makes you beautiful. Like I ain't know nothing about that shit, right? You know what I wash my soap with? So, I don't even do that shit sometimes. I just fucking shave my whole fucking head, everything except my eyebrows, and then walk out the door. But he's like all about making himself all beautiful and shit. But I'm on his close friends on Instagram, and yo, you should see like the fucking chicks that slide into his DMs, man. It's fucking crazy. I've never seen a nigga get like girls, like bad chicks, like throwing themselves at a nigga, right? But he talks about on his channels, like he only fucks with girls who holler at him. Like he doesn't holler at girls, but what he does is he spends all the time up front making himself as beautiful as possible. And he just takes the girls that come to him. It's kind of the way the women do it, right? That's what women do. Don't misconstrue that. I'm not trying to be negative. It's like, I just never thought about, you know, I grew up in Chicago, man. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas was shooting at me and shit, right? So like, I never thought about like, I was lifting weights for violence, right? But he lifts weights for aesthetics, right? You know, he grew up in a nice neighborhood. He's from a good family and shit. You know, it makes a lot of sense. And I never thought about it like, yo, I didn't even know that girls hollered at guys until Austin put me on his close friends. So that's how you use it as a positive. And right. And as a result, he probably gets a lot of pussy, man, with effort. It appears effortlessly, but he puts all the effort into himself. And then they just fucking gather around. This is a different strategy, right? And I think it's obviously working out super well for him. Law number 46. Never appear too perfect. Big Rob says, show vulnerability and flaws to make others feel more comfortable around you. I want to give you an example of how this can be used against you. So Tiger Woods is probably one of the best athletes ever. Definitely top 5 best athletes ever. Like what he accomplished in golf, he's up there with Jordan, Brady, you know, like it. He's definitely one of the best athletes ever. Most accomplished athletes ever. As a result, he was making a ton of money. He had tons of endorsements. He was the man, but he had this squeaky clean image, right? He didn't curse. He wouldn't do nothing wrong. He was always smiling, right? He had this real image that he was just squeaky clean. Then one day, Tiger Woods crashes his fucking car into a tree on his property. We found out because his wife was fucking chasing him or some shit. And then everything came out. Found out this motherfucker was fucking all types of bitches, fucking porn stars and shit. He was going crazy out here. And when that shit came out, this motherfucker lost like almost all his endorsements, except for Nike. It's hard to lose an endorsement with Nike. He lost millions and millions of dollars, and public image was ruined. And it was like years and years and years before he won another championship. Now, he didn't break any laws. I mean, he cheated on his wife. That should be between him and his wife. Shouldn't have anything to do with anything else. However, the reason it did is because he appeared too perfect. And he did that deliberately. He appeared too perfect. Now let's contrast that with a guy named Charlie Sheen. At one point, Charlie Sheen was the highest paid actor on TV. He was on a show called 2.5 Men. He was the highest paid actor on TV. And then at the height of his career, he got caught in a hotel room with cocaine and hookers. And he was just like, yeah, I'm Charlie Sheen, motherfucker, that's what I do. Yeah, you ain't know? Yeah, that was me, man. And he never seemed too perfect. He was always in and out of rehab. Nobody gave a fuck. In fact, his show, the ratings were high as they ever were. He was still the highest paid actor on TV after that. And it didn't affect his career at all. The only reason he got fired from the show is because was like a year or two later when he started talking shit about the network and talking shit about the CEO of the network. But he didn't get fired for the hookers. He didn't get fired for the hookers and the blow. In fact, the ratings, if I'm not mistaken, the ratings went up. because he never tried to appear perfect. He was just like, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I do. So you always want to keep that in mind, man. If you out here trying to appear perfect or lying to people about how perfect you are, if you get caught lying about it, it's going to be a big fucking deal. You know what I'm saying? Think about people who are openly homosexual. It's not a problem. They get praised in the media. When a motherfucker gets caught being homosexual, who was like perpetrating the fraud, right? That's fucking big news. But if somebody just comes out and, hey, yeah, I mean, it just comes out gay off the rip, it's not a big deal. Nobody cares, man. This ain't the 90s. This ain't Hammer Time. Go love with it, whoever you want. Nobody gives a fuck. Unless you were lying about it, then everybody gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? So how do I use that in my life? I just fuck up in front of you guys all the time. In fact, I've been fucking up all night. And you still watch it. But I openly talk about my dyslexia. I talk about, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2. I talk about all the stuff I've been through. When I mess up or make a mistake, I can just blame it on that, man. I'm like, hey, man, I told y'all I was doing this shit, man. I never said I was perfect. In fact, I told y'all I was all fucked up. And it's worked out well for me throughout my career. Let's get into the next law. This book is really powerful and it's really impacted me. There was a time in my life where I made flashcards of every law and I had them all memorized. Like I committed this shit to memory and I implemented it in my life throughout my career. Law 18, do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. If anybody knows me, they know that I'm nice to everybody. Everybody I meet everywhere I go, much to the chagrin of my girlfriend. But it doesn't matter. You could be a fucking janitor or waiter. If I'm collabing with other influencers, I make sure that I show a lot of love to their camera people and the people behind the scenes. I ask the camera guy, hey man, anything I can help you with, man? Just holler at me. I'm super nice to everybody all the time. There's a reason for that. One, it's just a nice way to live. Right? It's just a nice way to be. It's a cool way to live life. If you do that, you build up a good reputation and everybody seems to like you. Also though, you never know who these people are going to become. And you also never know who these people are, right? So I'm gonna mix this one with law number 19, know who you're dealing with, don't offend the wrong person. The reason I'm mixing it is because, let me give you an example. When I had about 100,000 YouTube followers, I was on Instagram and I was doing some handstand push-ups. This is like, 7 years ago or some shit. And I was in the background of that video that I posted on Instagram, somebody's podcast was on. And then people started tagging that person. And this person had less than 100,000 followers, a really small following. I was a fan. I liked that person's podcast and I would listen to it sometimes when I was working out. And that they tagged that person and that person commented on the video. And then we followed each other. And I was like, I saw that he was in LA. And I was like, oh man, listen, I'm about to be in LA for the LA Fitness Expo. My supplement company, we got a booth out there. We should link up, man. And he was like, cool, would you mind doing a video with me, a collab? I was like, yeah, man, no problem. I'll show up, man. Now, this was a small YouTuber at the time. So I show up to the crib. We do the interview. I put it on my channel because, I like to do it. And he was a successful business person in his own right. And we became cool. And at the same time, again, I became cool with everybody on his staff too. His little brother was there. He was an adult, but he was his little brother, right? And I became super cool with him. I was just really nice to everybody, really kind, and showed everybody love. That person ended up building a bigger YouTube following than me and became huge on social media. His name is Ty Lopez. This was before he even had 100,000 followers, right? And, me and Ty's made a lot of money together. Ty's became like a mentor to me. In certain respects, he's the big homie. But he was a small YouTuber at the time, right? At the time, I was a bigger YouTuber than him. But had I not shown love at the time and not showed up and did all that, we wouldn't have had the relationship we had. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, I was super cool with his little brother. I introduced him to a bunch of girls that he hung out with, and his brother ended up becoming his affiliate manager. See, I didn't even know that was going to happen. He was just kind of there, looking like Pothead Surfer. I don't think he surfs or smoked weed, but he had that look. And he became his affiliate manager. And then, they came out with that social media marketing course and they made a ton of money. I'm not at liberty to say how much they made. Then they took it off the market, right? They took it off after the first launch. They said it was only gonna be up for like 2 weeks. Then they took it down. And then I was at a Knicks game with his brother. I was like, yo, bro, listen, man, heard you the new affiliate manager on there, man. Why don't you let me run affiliate for the shit, And he was like, all right, cool. He talked to Ty and I did it. They set it up and I ran an affiliate launch for that shit. He took it down and I was the only way he could buy it was through me. at that time. I was the only way you could buy this course that everybody loved was through me for like 5 days. I made a few $100,000. And it was all because, one, I didn't build the fortress, right? I was always reaching out to people. And also, law number 19, don't offend the wrong person. You never know, you never know who you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know who these people are going to become. But the key is you got to be like that with everybody. I'm talking about janitors, fucking waiters, everyone you meet, you got to show them that kind of love, right? I'm not saying you got to hang out with everyone, right? But be super kind to everyone, because you never know who these people are going to become. And throughout my 10 years of being online and being in business, this shit has really helped me, right? Because some of these people end up coming up and then they're in positions where they can help you. But if you were a dick to them on your way up, you know what I'm saying? You might see those same people on the way down and they'll be happy to stop you down, or at least they won't be there to help. You know what I'm saying? Keep all that in mind. Let me move on to the next law. Law number 3, conceal your intentions. Keep your plans and motives hidden, as revealing them can make you vulnerable. When I was 16, I read a book called The Autobiography of Malcolm X, written by Malcolm X and Alex Haley. And the part that really stuck out for me, it was only one line, and most people who read the book probably missed it, but for whatever reason, it stuck out to me. And Malcolm X says, he never tells people his plans or his goals, because if he changes his mind or fails, if he didn't tell anybody he was doing it, nobody knows. And I don't know, I just thought that was like super powerful. I was like, oh yeah. So when I see people telling everybody what they got planned and what they going to do, I'd be like, you probably shouldn't do that. I might not say it. I try to never tell anybody what my goals are or my plans unless they are involved in it in some way. And then I tell them not to tell anyone. I cannot tell you guys how many things I've tried and failed over the years. Fucking whole businesses failed. Lost money doing all types of shit. But y'all don't know about it because I didn't announce this shit. You know what I'm saying? It saved me a lot of embarrassment. And it makes it look like everything I touch is just fucking gold. It looks like my whole fucking career has been a unbroken boulevard of green lights. That has not been the case. But because I never tell you motherfuckers what my plans are or my aspirations are, it doesn't fucking matter. If I fail, right? I can fail in private and succeed in public. And that's kind of what you want, man. Like, don't tell people what you're going to do. Just do it. Just fucking do it. And it's kind of like law number 9. It's a derivative, right? Law number 9 is win through actions, never through argument. That's not exactly what Robert meant when in that chapter, but however, I feel like it's applicable, because if you're just telling people what you're going to do, who gives a fuck, right? But if you do it, then you're a fucking G. So when I hear people saying, oh, my friends and family don't support me, people don't support me, it's like, yo, how about you just fucking succeed? I promise you, if you start succeeding, not only will they support you, they be fucking, they'll support. Listen, you start succeeding, you start making a bunch of money, you start fucking blowing up on the internet or building that business and it's succeeding, you won't have to worry about them supporting you. You know what I'm saying? You won't have to worry about anybody supporting you. People will be eager to support you, so they can like attach themselves to that ship that they see moving in the right direction. So when I started my fitness business, man, I didn't really tell nobody. I just started doing it, and then people started seeing it. And what happened was I wasn't asking nobody to support me. I wasn't asking the homies to support my shit or to work for me or to team up with me. It just happened. Like, for example, my best friend, white boy Brian, he saw the shit was moving in the right direction, and he was like a doorman at some nightclub at the time. And he was like, yo, man, yo, I want to be a part of this. I'm like, cool, let's roll. And then people started asking me, hey man, can I work for you? Can I intern for you? I was like, all right, cool. But they got to see the momentum moving in the right direction first. You get what I'm saying? Which is, I'm not going to do a whole speech about this. It's kind of like law number 9, win through actions, never through arguments. But it also relates to law number 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, not their mercy or their gratitude. You get what I'm saying? Here's the thing. If you're fucking winning, then everyone will know it's in their self-interest to align with you. You won't even have to ask. You know what I'm saying? If you're winning enough, you won't have to ask. And most of you guys are just trying to get your first $100,000, right? You can do that all by yourself. I promise you, you don't need no one else. You may need a mentor. You may need to fucking buy some books or courses or whatever, but you won't need no one to actually do the work with you. You can do that on your own. I fucking promise you, you can. Law number 15 is one of my favorites. Crush your enemy totally. So I'm real reluctant to get into any kind of beef with anyone because of Law 15, if I go, I got to go all the way. You know what I'm saying? And that can mean different things with different applications depending on the circumstances. But if I'm a go, I got to go all the way, right? I got to fucking crush that person. I got to go all the way. You know, if you read Art of War by Sun Tzu, there's a part where he says, when you attack your enemy, it should be so severe that do not fear their retribution. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So when people are out here like making YouTube videos about me, I usually respond. If I respond, it's gonna be in a joking manner, right? It's not gonna be like I'm trying to crush them or I'm even trying to have beef with them, right? What's the dude, Coach Greg? You know, he went on this thing. He's making a bunch of videos about me all the time, and I responded to him, but you know, it wasn't in a negative way. I didn't attack him. In fact, I made light of it most of the time, you know, just fucking joking around.
It's my opinion, you can agree with me if you want, that he was probably not a lifetime natural, that he was already taking testosterone to get that amazing physique that he already have, while being on a keto diet with single-digit body fat, and he was already on the supplements, and so when he added and took 1,000 milligrams, it didn't make that much difference because he was already taking testosterone.
Whoa. Take it easy, man. Relax. It's not that serious. Listen, everything's gonna be okay.
Because if I get into it with someone, well, we got to get all the way into it. Nothing about Greg. He's cool. In fact, that shit is WWE. We talk to each other on Instagram. We cool. We follow each other. You know what I'm saying? That shit is WWE, man. But like, there are some people who have been like super nefarious and like, you know, came at me and I didn't say nothing, you know, because if I get into it, I got to get into it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not, you know, I'm probably not gonna be making YouTube videos, you know? That's not how things are handled where I'm from, you know? So like, so most of the time I just let shit slide. It was like, you know, man, it ain't worth the fucking, it's cool, man. Like, you know, let it slide. Unless I feel like, you know, I got it to. Like, for example, there was last year, somebody was really coming at me, trying to assassinate my character and try to really crush things in a way. He was really trying to hurt me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was really trying to hurt me. And I was trying to let it slide. I was trying to do nothing, but I had to do something, and nobody's really heard from him since, you know what I'm saying, over the last year, you know what I'm saying? And like, nothing fucking bad happened to him, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody heard from him. It's not some, I'm not worried about hearing from him either. You know, we'll just leave it there. All right. I'm gonna leave it at this. Law number 48, assume the formless. So check it out. Okay. One of my cousins, Chicago G, man, we known each other since we was fucking babies, right? We lived a block away from each other. We got sent to the same high school. Then we went to the same college. Then when he moved to New York, I moved to New York right after. Then he moved to Miami and I moved to Miami right after. Basically, we were around each other our whole lives. But man, G was so hood. And he was always hood. Like, he died about a year ago. He passed away. But I'll just give you an example of how hood he was. My man was wearing a Chicago Bulls fitted cap in the casket. And, you know, it felt right. You know what I'm saying? Because that was G. That was G. You know? And, you know, that's how hood he was. The problem was, you know, he would ask me to introduce him to certain people. And I was like, you're too hood. I couldn't even bring him to certain places. Like, see me, I can put on a suit, I can clean up, I can stop cursing, I won't show up high somewhere. You know I can move in different circles. Where G, he can only move in the hood. He can move really well in the hood. He moved to Spanish Harlem. He was like the king over there, like 110 and Lenox. He had a bodega that he owned on 110th and Lenox, you know? And he was real good there, but he couldn't move anywhere else. Not as fluently as I could. I can put on a suit, I can go someplace, I can go be at a boardroom, I can be at a country club, or I can go to fucking Spanish Harlem, Washington Heights, fucking the Bronx if I need to, you know? Assuming the formless. If you are only one kind of way, then you can only move in certain circles. And it may be appropriate to be able to move in different circles depending on the circumstances. So some people say it's fake, but me, I just feel like it's accentuating certain parts of my personalities depending on the circumstances. Kind of like, you know, when you go to church, you're not being fucking fake. You're just, you know, that's what's appropriate under that setting, but you need to be fluent enough to move in different circles. The way I talk to y'all is not the same way I would talk to my son, right? The way I talk to y'all is not the same way I would talk. Well, it's pretty much the same way I talk to my mom, but it's not the same. Like, that's my nigga, right? But You know, that's not the same way I talk to like some investment bankers and I'm doing shit with, or when I talk to people at, you know, private equity funds, I may dress or talk different. You know, I may wear certain watches, right? You know, all the fucking watch nerds say don't wear your bust down watches. They say it's they don't understand it because they only know one culture, right? That's a way of being rigid, right? However, I can put my bust down on. I show up in the hood, I show up at the club, I show up at the nightlife spots, and it's appropriate and I get props there. But I know that same watch give me negative status at the country club. You get what I'm saying? I know how to move in different settings, and that's something you guys got to learn too. Really be versatile and fluent. Now I learned that from my dad. My dad, he didn't go to college. He didn't graduate from high school. In fact, he was an orphan. He never met his parents. His mom died when he was a baby, and his dad, he just never met, you know. And he was able to adapt to different environments seamlessly. And one thing he told me is like, yo, man, you know, even though I'm in the boardrooms and I'm doing all this other shit, he still knew people in the streets. He still knew how to move like fluently. South side of Chicago to the mayor's office to the fucking, he wasn't fucking host, but he had to get the host of the mayor. You know the story I told you. And then he to the casino, like he was moved super fluently, and that's something I picked up from him. And you might have to change your dialect a little bit, or at least accentuate different aspects of your personality, your dialect, or even your attire to do that. If you can master that, it gives you a strategic advantage in life, I believe. Listen, those are some of my favorite aspects of the 48 Laws of Power. I highly suggest you read it. Some people just cast aspersions on this book without even having read the whole thing. It's a thick book, I get it. So you can get the condensed version. I put the link in the description. It's easy to read. Either use it to your advantage or it will be used on you to your detriment. All right. And if you want more information about the book, check out the interview I did with Robert Greene himself, where he explains to you how to use the book and how the book has benefited people throughout history. Check it out right now.